Hello there everyone, Alexman here, and welcome back to another edition of Game and Chill. We're basically play a game for the first hour, and it's seeing if it's a game you would like to play, because always the first hour of every game usually make or break the game itself, and today is no exception. Today we have Railway Empire 2, which was initially released on May 25th of this year, 2023. Now, the original game was released back in 2018, and well, that was a sleeper hit in my honest opinion, where Railway Empire was all about steam locomotives and building up your own railway empire. And I played this game a lot. I played it on stream, as well as I did a game and chill on it a little while back, and I think it was a great game overall. Now, I never expected this game to ever get a sequel, but this game did get announced last year that it was going to be released, and it's had some few bumps in the road when it released, but I think right now it's in a stable state. So we're going to go out and see what this game is all about. Now, if you don't know what Railway Empire is a simulation game, sort of like a Tycoon game and such, where you have to build your own railways for the entirety of the United States or the entirety of the entirety of Europe. Sorry. Tongue twist sometimes about that. But let's get into a new game, shall we? Let's go into a custom game today. So, unlike in Railway Empire 1, the game was basically restricted to either just the United States and basically only a few towns for you to start in. But in this game, for Railway Empire 2, you can start on United States or start the entirety of Europe. I know. A lot of new terrain has been unlocked for us. But I'm going to go with North America for this game and chill tonight. So initially, you can go for the whole map. You can go for any of the regions of the United States as well. So you can choose whatever side you want. I think I'm going to start in the Great Plains for this one, because we did that initially in the original Game and Chill, and we gotta see what has changed in this region. Now, you can start in your own hometown, whatever you want. In the last game, there was a lot of these big, important towns, like 4 of them in each. This time, however, every town is basically a clean slate. There's no one more powerful than the other, and it's up to you to make sure what that city entails. And we're going to start off in Omaha because I think that's where a good place to start in. It's right on the edge of the map, and it's pretty close to a certain couple of towns that should have no problem. You can start from 1830 all the way up to 1930 is where you can start in. I actually would recommend start this game in 1840. And for reasons I'll get into later. But 1840 usually gets you off with at least with 4 engines to start with, and you can build out from there. Also, this game will tell you what your size of the map you're working with, how many cities are available to you, and how many businesses will be eventually at the very end of the game, as well as your achieved rank. This only applies to you if you actually have beaten the map itself initially. So let's continue on with this. And now we get ourselves our new classes, our new characters. So we also have the engineer, we have the lady, we have the general, we also have the professor, the entrepreneur, the gangsta, as well back with the engineer. Now, every character, every class, I would say, this is technically your class at this point, but basically is that you'll have 2 strengths plus a weakness. So it really depends up to you what kind of railway tycoon you want to be on. So, like, say, if you want to be some more of a freight and mail traffic person, you choose a general. Just let you know that you can't really build bridges or tunnels because they would cost you more and such. Or say as professor, but basically that auctions are cheaper and locomotives are cheaper by default, but people hate you by default. So it's not too bad and all. I think these are kind of fully balanced. I think in the original game, these were very the characters back then were kind of unbalanced for the most part, but now I think here all the classes are kind of basically more balanced to what they are. I figure in the end be all that the engineer, I think, is the easiest of the characters to get into. So we're gonna be playing as that. You can keep up your name, the custom name for it. Also, you can name your railway, which we all know is we are Dreamside Railway. And also, you can also do the abbreviations to your railway. And since we have DSR, it's called for Dreamside Railway, DSR. So my engineer already has the all locomotives required 10% less maintenance, so they'll break down a bit lesser. Tracks are cost 20% cheaper, but the problem is that express trains are 5% bonus instead of 10%. So I say for the lack of express trains getting the bonus, I think this is the least troubling of all the characters. And so let's jump into here. Now you can choose your difficulty level. So we're going to have one competitor for this game and chill. We'll start at $3 million. Strength of the eye will be at regular, or you can have them expert or advanced. Regular will basically give them the best. This rank is really just how much money they have at the start, so that you can so they'll basically take you over faster. So regular is going to be the easiest of the AI, though it still is just as difficult as anything else. You have mergers on, which are basically allows you to merge with other companies once you buy them out of their stock, just like before. Tasks can be regular, or you can turn them off if you so choose. The game will not be rated. No entry can be made in the leaderboards if you don't have any tasks ahead of you. So we're going to have normal tasks. You can have an inflation rate, which means the prices of all items are going to go up over time. You can turn it off if you wish. And keep the track costs at 100% because they can't go any lower than that. The higher the percentage, the higher cost those things are. Refunds are unlimited. Most times they'll be basically after 5 days of building, you wouldn't be able to get your money back for it. So keep this as unlimited so you can destroy any of your assets, whatever you want, without any troublesome. Region concessions, that's basically the running rights. Sometimes you'll have a region you can't build into, and, well, you have to basically complete a certain amount of objectives to get the running rights to build in that region. City founding is kind of a iffy issue. Some towns might actually be only settlements, and you can't found them as a city or build them up until you actually give them the resources we need. I'm going to keep that off for now. That means every city is going to be available from the start. So we can go like this. Let's start off our game, shall we? And I'll say right now, the graphics have taken a vast improvement over the original game. I mean, this is stunning.
Good that you're here. Your company was founded and you have only
so, every time you start off in your hometown, and you can also see that your town has a unique building to it. This is your railway headquarters, which again is a nice attention to detail. Also, you can see like your starting engine you can have, which is cool. So, you also have your tasks. Just like before, you're given a task list. And you have to get these done within the span of the time frame. If you don't, you fail the task. The more tasks you complete, the better your rank will be at the end of the game. So let's see about it. We have to connect cities of Omaha, Sioux Falls, and Topeka before 1842. So we have Sioux Falls here. And we've got to get... Let's see, where is the other one? What's the other one? Topeka. Which should be down here. Alright, so we have to get Omaha, Topeka, and we have to get Sioux Falls. That doesn't seem too hard. So let's start with our railway starting off first. So we need to build our buildings. Unlike in the Railway Empire 1, there was multiple different station buildings you can put down. Not here. No. These stations are now universal. Only one station needs to be placed, and you can do whatever you want with it. As you can see there, rail and also the stations can go up to a max of 8 lines. I mean, that's kind of a little bit overkill, but you know what? I am not going to complain about stuff like that. So we're going to we're going to make our first line here with Topeka and our train routes. So in order to connect to a railway track, you have to hit your railway option here. And Unlike before, you can now plan up to 5 rails. In the past game, you could only plan for only 1 rail. So it was kind of iffy where you could basically start building your tracks and planning out your routes early ahead of time. As you can see right here, there's a red line right here from this. Like, well, that's perfectly fine, right? So why is it wrong here? Well, as you can see the white borders around each of the towns, that is the town boundary. You cannot build inside this region unless you're connecting it to a station. Like that. So that's cool on that front. Which means, again, it goes to show you how big the town could potentially be at the very end of its lifespan. And every town has a leveling up system. And as soon as the demands are met, the town will basically grow in size. So that's your biggest objective. Because the bigger the town, the more passengers you'll have. And the more demand to put goods into it. When you start off a town, this town will have a resource that they are going to be prominently making, such as Omaha is making meats. So we're going to have to connect this farm right here with our meat division, so that our cows can be turned to meat, so that we can actually start making goods trains going between Topeka and Omaha. We have to make us some money. So as you can see right here, that we have a road that's basically flat. But now it's made a tunnel because the ground was going too high for it. I say early game, you want to avoid tunnels as much as you can. Because as you can see right here, you're basically showing the cost of how much your track is going to cost and how much of the earth you had to move for that track to work. As well as telling how long it is and how much the initial cost is going to be. So bear that in mind when you're building your railways. We want to make sure our railway is going to be perfectly flat because our trains right now, at the moment, are very weak. They are not very strong or very fast. So you want to basically make sure your rails are flat as best you can. If you haven't made one route between 2 stations and it's almost likely no issue, you can automatically just plan out another parallel road to it. Bear that in mind though, that every station starts off with only 1 platform. And if you connect the bigger platforms to it, it's going to cost you more to put that platform down between the 2 stations. So bear that in mind as you make your railway. So I'm going to stay with 2 for the moment because as of right now we don't really need a dedicated lines between goods and services and passengers. Like, this is the very early of the game. So let's get into the statistics of this. So now you build your railway line. But as you can see, it doesn't have any type of region or type of direction. In Railway Empire 1, you had to automatically put your signals down manually and manually seat it. This time, however, all you have to do now is click on the railway line and you can see which direction the trains are going to go. And once those are in place, you can automatically see the signals are automatically placed. So basically, this whole entire game is all about streamlining the process of building your railways. So but also now that we've got 2 trains in, but that means our stations are only one way in and one way out. So you need these now station grid irons. These are going to be your automatic switching station parameters from now on. So you need to put one at each of your stations if you have 2 lanes going each one. That means it puts an automatic signaling station into the mix. And depending on what you can do, how many platforms you have, you can do as many of the track layout as you want. So that's nice. So now we have our stations connected. We're going to start off with an automatic train. As I stated before, the reason why we want to start 1840 is because the early game right here is horrendous. So let's start off with getting increase the ticket prices for passengers, because that's more money for us. When you start in 1830, you start off with the Caterpillar only. And in order to get more points, is that you have to have your points increase by about whatever is your class is, will basically be more or less. But this first one here, Iron Fire Tubes, is 300 points. And if you spend 100 points getting this stuff here, you're not getting this for like a few months at a time. So you're going to be stuck with the Grasshopper for a lot longer than normal. So that's why I started at 1840. That way you get at least, a few more engines for the sake of variety. As well as you get some of the, like the dining cars, the refrigerator cars, you get some mail cars and the caboose right off the bat. But I think that's kind of nice in that regard. So, So let's start off our subway line. We're going to start from Omaha, and we're going to go to Topeka. And now we have to choose our way our line's going to be. So we have Omaha, Topeka. You can change this to whatever you want to name it. You're going to choose your locomotive. I'm going to choose a mixed traffic engine. Like, I know it's not the fastest engine in the world, but you have to select whatever train line you want to have. So, like for example, there are 3 different types of trains. There's express, mixed, and freight trains. Mixed traffic engines are usually going to be your middle-of-the-road engines, which they can do passenger and freight traffic. Freight trains are better for just freight trains in general, and express trains are the fastest of the trains, but they have the least amount of traction, which means they're good for only passenger services. So I'm going to put the Dunham in because I want to make sure to get goods and passengers between our towns. And since we've got goods and services, I'm going to put on the dining car. I believe that is the dining car. I wish there was a way you could tell you which one these were, because they don't tell you this if you highlight this. But I believe this is the dining car because it matches the coaches. So we want to have one train, but you can also have 2 trains for each line, or more if you want. Now you can put up as many train lines as you want on one train, so you don't have to copy a line anymore. So I'm going to put one train on the line. I'm going to make it automatic, which will mean it'll pick up goods and services to what we want. And we're going to hit confirm. You'll see how long it actually takes you per time to get between stations, and how much utilization it's going to be. And so we're going to confirm the price. And now we're going to get that train going right there, and it's going to be just fine. See, now it's picking up mail. Oh, that's actually the mail traffic. Oh, that's the mail one. Okay. Then I imagine that this has to be the mail car. This is the refrigerator car then. Okay. So you have your special car when you ever need to. And you can change it whenever you want, but as soon as when the train gets into stations, it'll change out those cars wherever you need to. We'll keep that there like that. So now you see it picked up 1 passenger and a lot of meat. So we're going to do that. But as you can see, our train also has a health meter. It's water, sand, and oil. So we're going to need to do a refilling station to make sure our water, sand, and oil are kept. So we have a supply tower. These things are usually inexpensive, and you want to put them strategically between the middle, about the midpoint between your stations, so you know exactly what to do. But we also know that our trains are going to break down, so we want to make sure our stations are going to have some sort of a uniqueness to the matter. So when you come down here into your station, you most likely you can rename the station whatever you want, but also you can add 2 extensions to it. So you can either have a maintenance depot, a dispatch hall, a restaurant, a market hall, post office, or a warehouse, so you can store up to 6 goods per each. I recommend a maintenance depot because that means your trains will get repaired when it comes back to this station specifically. And I like to do that now because I like that. Oh, here we go. A new mechanic. Connection bonuses. Now, connection bonuses in the original game was that all you had to do was connect it to your railway line and you got the bonus right off the bat. Here is not the same as ever. Now, you have to actually make at least 1 delivery with your goods to make sure that the connection is actually genuine. If it's not, you don't get the bonus until you actually make 1 trip, which is nice. And we go like this. Now, normally you would be able to do that parallel road tool I did earlier, but if we're doing stuff like this, connections into a railway network, it basically won't do it. So bear that in mind. Also, when you're making your railway traffic, you gotta make sure the signals are in effect, because again, it doesn't automatically single it, unlike before, which almost constantly. So now we have to figure out our railway lines. The game will automatically tell you if the railway connection is actually good or not, depending on the direction. We want to put a gridiron here as well. Rural stations have actually gotten a little bit more, shall we say, additions as well. At the young stations, you can also add a maintenance depot, a dispatch hall, a restaurant, or a warehouse. And later on, when you actually unlock more extensions, you can actually have a hotel here. So you can have passenger services stop at this station for let passengers to get off, sleep over, and then wait for another train to take them to their next destination. So I'm going to get this here. Come in here. And I'm going to make sure our station is going to start on rail line 1. And I want to make sure our goods train's coming on rail line 2. So it doesn't interfere with our passenger service for the time being. And since this is a freight train only, I'm going to get my duet on there. And let's do it like that. So we'll go like there, and booyah. Oh, right, look at that. Your train runs along sections without direction tracks. Which means that our direction tracks are not fully done. So we got to make sure we have our correct lines and whatnot. So let's see what we got here. Did I not set up it correctly? No, it looks like it's doing alright. Young station's on 2, maybe? It's on 2, why not? Let's see here. Tracks, song sections without direction or track direction. Avoid waiting times. These tracks should be avoided to avoid such combinations. Oh, is it not? Okay. Maybe we should add a bonus platform. Okay, we can wait on that for now. What I'll do now is I'll add a bypass loop. So we can do this right here, and I'm going to connect our station to like this. Going to make ourselves have a 4-way platform here. I'm going to put a grid iron right here as well. A 2-way one. But you can make it up to 4 if I would. I could combine these if I want to, but I want to keep these separate. So I can have a sort of a dual system here. So I want to come like there and like there. That shouldn't give us a problem when coming into the station here. Shouldn't anymore. But we'll see how that goes. I'm going to put a water tower down. And let's get this train going. I want Omaha to get its stakes. As it were. We'll hook up to rail line 4. That shouldn't give us any conflicts. At least it shouldn't anyway. We'll get our... You know, we'll just go with the Dunham. We'll go with the Dunham. Make it easier. I don't know why it's giving that error. I don't think it's going to give us any trouble. I want the extra bonus right now, which is $110,000. Not bad at all. And you can see how the train is loading up on goods. And so you can tell how fast it's going to go and how much money it'll actually be making during each run. So bear that in mind. And I see Topeka is making... Oh, and there's a bug. This is a bug that's happening currently through the game. It basically... The screen... There's a nuke! That's a bug. And I don't know what's causing it, but for some reason, if I could just go into like this to right there, it eventually clears up. Usually. There you go. Yeah, that's a bug in the game, and I don't know if it's being fixed or harnessed right now. It only started happening this after the hotfix started to take an effect. That recent was just about patched, the hot patch packs. Yeah, I can't say it. The hot fix patch. So bear that in mind that this will happen. But the way I fixed it is just that go to your research screen and just stay on there for a few seconds and then pop back onto your game, and it technically should eventually clear itself up. So I'm going to hook up our... Man, that's very close. That's almost on the borderline of the red area right there. Goodness me.
Another task. Check.
And there we go. A task is completed. Booyah. There we go. We fulfilled it on February 26, 1840. Not bad. So now our next goal is to have a balance of $112,000 basically per week. So we have to start making this money per week. So we're going to do that as soon. Well, I'm going to put down our grid irons so that our trains can get through by. Dreams like Railway cannot be stopped. Whenever something happens in the game, you will basically get this sort of like an achievement saying, oh, this company is doing this or this. So looks like we're doing well. We can't be stopped, apparently. I'm going to put my extra bypass station here into here. So we can work on that off. You can technically just make all 8 platforms that active at once. So you can just have a goods train coming in here, and that just has that, just to fulfill its station. I just don't kind of recommend that by technicality, because it just seems to be more busy work than anything. You don't like me. Why don't you like me, huh? I'll just build like this. And that should like me. There you go. Sometimes you have to be a little fanatic on your railway lines, because sometimes if the bend's too tight, the trains can't make it. So bear that in mind. So let's make sure our railway lines are connected. So we're going to make left right here. It goes right. So this will go right, and this will go left. And then we'll make this go left, and make that go right. Automatic seated. And we'll start putting our refresh tower down pat. We'll put that right there. And we'll get Sioux Falls, its maintenance station. I'm going to put a maintenance station down here, because it just might as well. It makes the trains work well. And there's a wheat farm here that we could connect to, as well as a connection bonus for yarn, which is a new resource, by the way. Let's see here. I will start making a passenger service between here and here. And I want to make sure Omaha will stick on our passenger trains. So let's go right there. So there we go. Let's see, passenger by line 2. And you can also see how much your trains are using each platform. So you don't actually overburden a particular region. And we'll do like that with the Dunham. No worries there. And we'll get things going. Now, there's a cool little feature you can do with Railway Empire 2, is that is customization. Once this is where you can buy your new engines. So we have a Dunham, right? Well, there's our Dunham train, and again, the graphics of this game are just insanely good. Look how good this detail is. But unlike Railway Empire 1, you can have the standard paint job, or you can customize your trains. Yeah. For the first time ever, you can customize your trains. I like this feature a lot because, let's be frank, in Railway Empire 1, there were sometimes some trains that had like a weird color combination they had. And so it's like, well, I don't want this color combination, but I have to because the train is great. Here, you don't have to worry about such things. You can have an aging effect too as well. So you can see if the train is worn down and whatnot. So you can make it, well, look, it's a worn out train, or make it look nice and pretty. That's awesome. That's awesome. So we can do that with our Dunhams. And it'll keep it that way for the rest of the game too. So, but it's only for that one train. But if you want to change others, you have to change everything else color up. So it's a nice feature. And again, it's a nice way to make sure your trains are more unique, as it were. And if you actually look at your trains, you can also see your abbreviation for your railway is actually going to be on the coaches themselves, too. Oh, we got a new bonus connection done because we made our trip between here. That's nice. So, unlike in Railway Empire 1, like I said before, you need to these rural stations are going to be a sort of a stopgap for your trains. So you want to make your railway line go between there. And that's a cool thing about this, is that you can see which farm is actually connected to which town, where's the goods coming from. So bear that in mind. I would try to recommend go after as many of these first connection bonuses as much as you can, because that gives you extra money, and extra money is good. So let's try to get Topeka and its goods, because we have a wheat farm here. So let's get a wheat farm let's get our grains going here, so that Topeka can start making alcohol. Like a so. And now, I would recommend, at least later on in the game, having a 4-way lines for your main line, and 2 lines only for branch lines. At least later on in the game, because again, the tracks can get very expensive, and sometimes you will be out of money for a good long while. I've found this multiple times when starting off with the campaign, as well as doing some custom maps and whatnot. So bear that in mind as you come across this. And so I'm going to put our great irons down first, so I know exactly what we're going for. Again, I'm just going to make the also I just make these bypass stations here. Yes, I could make a parallel track here, but I don't want to. No, I don't want to do that, game. You know I don't want to do that. So go like that. Also, the fact that the track layout in this game is actually quite more simplified, and also it's not as tedious. Because I remember in Railway Empire 1 that sometimes some railway tracks would just not work. Because it was like, oh, it's not connected, you know, it's not connected to this or that. And it's like, oh, come on, you know. But here it's like, they painstakingly try to make sure that this game was completely streamlined for the sake of a faster gameplay. You know what, I'll commend them for it. Because this is clearly a more, I love the system they have here. Because now everything is basically simplified. One station, one building, one everything, you know. There is still basically only 2 stations per town. So, if you wanted to stop your competitors from coming in here, you might want to block off your town as much as you can. Which is great, because you can actually start building, you know, like, customizing libraries or something like that. Libraries are like the custom building you can put there, the unique building of every town. And so, if the town's over this sort of site, you can basically increase the facilities fulfillment of demand. Or you can have a museum, which basically allows passengers to come by. Or you can have a university, which basically allows more people to come in. And it basically gets the scholarships and gets more people in the town. But unlike Railway Empire 1, where it was only a grid where you could put them on, these things you can place them anywhere in the green area. So, that's awesome. That means, again, there's no grids. No grids whatsoever. Which I'm so thankful for, because I'll tell you right now, there are times where you couldn't build a town or a station or a unique factory because your town was basically, you had a railway station there that blocked off some of that route. And it's like, oh no, I can't let that happen. It's so annoying. And I'm glad that they basically streamlined this, because man, I didn't know if they needed to really fix this at all, but... Oh, wow. They won't let me do that because it's too small of a bend for me to work with that. Oh, okay. Okay, well, that's not too bad. I'm not too worried about that. I just want to make sure I have a bypass station loop so everything works out well. Okay, so... we have our passenger and goods train. I might have to make a bypass station here, but I want to make Wichita to start making railway, getting traffic as well, because might as well start a railway empire somewhere we can get some of our goods. I said I could basically make my main line go up here through Young Station right now and go to North Platte and get access to this corn farm here, along a wheat farm as well, which wouldn't be a bad idea after all. Let's see what we can do here. Let's start building more tracks, shall we? Now, there is something called the maintenance post. It has to be built next to a track, and it reduces the chances of breakdowns on nearby tracks for the particular region that it's in, like this. So, if you have this post down anywhere, it does cost $9,500, or depending on your class, it'll be more expensive. But if you put this down near a track line, it basically will generate a field that will reduce breakdowns on your trains. So if you want to do that in a high traffic area, that's probably recommended. Now you have quarterly balances now. This is basically your quarterly report. Every quarter that completes, you're given basically what is your stats so far. Not bad. So like this wasn't in Railway Empire 1. So we can see how much our money is getting in freight, passengers, mail, our extra bonuses we're getting. And we're doing quite substantially. We made $542,000 in our quarterly results. So we're doing pretty good. That's nice. Cool. So let's get into our... I'll get into company here. Let's get into company here. So this is the company page. It tells you exactly what your data is. How many active lines you have. How many wagons are in use. How much balance you're getting per week. Ratio of your traffic jams versus your journey time. And how much percentage that is. How much route length you have, train stations you have, city buildings, factories you own, rural businesses you own, how many cities you're connected, and your production capacity utilization. Also tells you how much cash you have on hand, and how much the value is in your tracks, your tunnels, bridges, and everything in general. Again, this is before you have your quarterly report, just like before. And also you can see your competitors, as well as how much money they're making. And this is where you can buy their stock. Since your company is just starting, you may not acquire your company's shares yet. So after July 1st, so you can't basically start a game and then buy shares out of a company. You have to wait a few months before you can start doing that. So, also we have the stock market as well. So if you want to see, like, if you want to purchase some stock in a particular raw material, such as transport, industry, constructions, or raw materials, and if they go up in price, you can sell your stock off and get some extra money from there. Or if you're in dire need of money, you can get a bond. Sometimes you can get one bond, sometimes two, but you'll have to basically deal with the loan until you can either pay it off early or let the bond mature. And then you have your stats, so you can see exactly how well your company is doing in real time, which is, again, pretty nice. Also, you might come up to, we have a bunch up here, we have the options menu, we have multiplayer. Yeah, multiplayer. So, this game offers multiplayer, and it is not the best. I'll say that much. Multiplayer is only co-op focused, not basically versus mode, which I think is a huge disservice to the game. I mean, a huge disservice. I was saying in Railway Empire 1 on my streams of the game that we were on Twitch before, and I was touting the idea of, if multiplayer was actually a thing, I think a counter-op mode would be great. So you would have, 4 competitors, 4 players, fighting against each other for land value, and basically fighting over bids, loans, and all that such. I think that'd be kind of cool. But here it is strictly just co-op. So you can get up to 4 people to jump in and just basically just start building railway lines in another region. So you can have your company start off in Great Falls, over here in, Albuquerque, up here in Fargo, as well as someone down here in Oklahoma City. It can just build up like that. And it's a fast game, I would imagine, but I personally just don't like the idea of it. Like, it's just not fun. I think, in my honest opinion, I just think that maybe that mode will be updated later down the line. So bear that in mind. But I would imagine that this is probably going to be a feature that's only for PC players and most likely for PlayStation 5 and Xbox players. Because oddly enough, though, the multiplayer function is not going to be on the Switch version. Yeah, this is also being released for Switch later on, and it's only going to have local play. It's not going to have multiplayer at all. So it just makes me question why add, multiplayer to begin with. It just doesn't make any sense to me. That said, multiplayer could be, expanded upon later, and the developers have actually been reaching out to the community for, for input, because there was a lot of bugs starting off, like you just saw there, the whole screen going white and everything. but that, all in fairness, though, is like, there will be a time where maybe there might be an update to the game where online multiplayer will be, between 4 players, and they'll all go up against each other, which I think will be a good thing in the long run, personally. But you never know. You never know. So, let's talk about your starting town and towns in general. So towns in general are basically, it shows what is your population, your consumption that they're consuming per week for their services, and your fulfillment of demand. If the demand falls below 40%, the town will lose population. If it's over 60%, it will get bigger. So you want your fulfillment of demand to be as high as possible. It also shows you how much of stock is in place, and how much train usage is between mail, passenger, and freight goods. It also shows exactly how many people are waiting for transport, and how much mail is waiting on transport, as well as how much the factories are making. So you come in here by goods and supply and demand. You have what is currently on stock, what can be exported, and what can be consumed. So we want to make sure that, and since they can't really export more goods anymore because they're full in the warehouse. As soon as the towns get bigger, they'll demand more stuff. Which is also kind of a cool thing, is that later on down the game when you research more stuff, more resources or farms will actually be built onto the map later on in the game as soon as you get further and further into the game. So now you don't have that random oil spot that doesn't do anything for you, like in Railway Empire 1. So like we see here, like our Omaha place, or something like that, or Sioux Falls and whatnot, needs this and everything. So Omaha, in order to make sure our demands are met, we need to get wheat into the town, as well as getting corn and logs. We have logs right here. We can get those in place. It looks like they need sugar and they need yarn. Which we do have yarn. We could put yarn in our town in Omaha. That's no problem. Well, actually, they don't need it. There's not a demand for yarn, but they have demand for cloth. So we need to find a town that's got a factory for the use of yarn so that this can be exported into the town. Like so. So, let's get things rolling down the road here. Let's get with Topeka to get at least a good station going down. And let's see, King Terminal will get you on platform 1. And Topeka will go with platform 4. Now, the problem about these menus is that they're really big, so you have to either zoom in and hope for the best you can see what platform your train's going to stop on. I'm going to put our Dunham on the line because why not? And there we go. Train is now going to deliver goods. Nice. Alright, what else we got for research? Ooh, we got ourselves a faster engine. The Reindeer. 300 points. Or we can spend 200 points and decreases the prices of locomotives further in and hold off on this. But this is an express train, which might be not bad to have. So we'll grab that. It looks like we have enough for nothing else. Okay. Okay, so now we've got that in the way. I need to get this wheat farm going. But since we already have this farm already going for us, we're going to have King Terminal go to Sioux Falls as well. So we have platform 2 for that one. And we go to Sioux Falls, we'll go with platform 2 as well. There we go. And it's going to bypass Omaha. Since Omaha and Sioux Falls or Topeka are going to be bypass stations, I'm going to put a waypoint down. So I'm going to put a waypoint down right here. And make sure to tell him where my train's going to go at all times. So after it comes back, so we have waypoint 1 goes around the bypass station so that passengers and stuff does not get affected. And then I'm going to come back around here to make sure that when it goes past Omaha, it too will basically go on this directional line. And when it comes back from Sioux Falls, I'm going to make it go right here. So it basically goes in the outside loop at all times. And then come back around here, click on this line here. If I can. No, I won't. No. Waypoint 4. No. I wanted to make sure that our train's going to go back on this route, so I'm going to click here. Nope. Waypoint 4, you're not want to be there. There we go. Sometimes it can be finicky when putting down stuff like this. But see, now the train is actually going to avoid the main station and go through the bypass loop. Which is nice. And I'm going to put a Durham on the line. And I want to put the freight train on the line, because that is a food item. It does reduce your train by 1, but it also increases the their profits of food items. So we want that to take into effect. So, let's see about what else we can add before we end things off. Looks like our town definitely needs logs, so we can definitely get a log train going. Also, I need to get this train going here as well. We don't have directions on this sector of line yet. So, we're going to have... See, we're going here. I didn't add the Oh, I didn't add... Oh, that's why it was giving me issues. I forgot to put that there. There you go. That was giving me the issue. There we go. Now we got that fixed. The train doesn't know where to go if it doesn't have any trail lines of any direction. So the train will be mindless. Let's see here. Come back around here and up and around like this. And there we go. No harm, no foul right there. We'll put a gridiron here. And we could potentially purchase this estate if we wanted to. If you purchase this, all the money that's basically... Everything you get sold from this business will be yours for the taking. And it also starts off with bids. So this is how bids work. This will happen frequently. Sometimes the competitors will basically all outbuy you as much as they can, so you have to outbid them. But as soon as you have it, though, that is now yours to expand. So if we want to expand it to make sure it has high enough levels, we can. But this just costs a little bit of money to do so. But any profits that this station has, at least from the corn farm, will now be made for you only. So that works out in our favor. So we're going to make sure that works. And we're going to make sure Omaha gets their grains as well as their goods. So we'll start off with a Dunham. We'll put our farm truck on. And we'll get going here. Okay. Now let's talk. I'm going to talk about some... I know I've been jumping around tonight, folks. But let's talk about the one thing that I also think was kind of a change for this game, too. Before we move things off here. Your workers. In the last game, you had to purchase the engineers, the stokers, the security, and your conductors. Not so in this game. In this game, every train will automatically be 100% fully staffed. So that's a good sign for you. But you can basically make the engineers a little bit happier if you want to increase their working hours and how much they're getting paid. You can cash out a bonus on them, which will basically to increase their efficiency, making their trains that they're operating a lot better. But also, the fact that in the last game too, there was something called saboteurs. Saboteurs are stuff that you have to find on investment. The more you invest in a particular search for a saboteur, is the higher the level that saboteur will be. And you can have the saboteur go to one of your competitors and basically do some damage. If your town stations are basically attacked, they won't be able to make any money. But they can also attack trains as well, which means they'll be stuck in broke down mode for a good long while than normal. And essentially one train that's broken down on your 2-lane road or so could spell instant doom to your train company. So bear in mind of stuff that might occur like that, you know. Because the last thing you need is basically a train that's broken down, and you have to build a bypass loop so that your trains can get by. And sometimes your trains will most likely be in a spot where they can't do anything. So let's see. Okay. Also, the game will most likely immediately end once you have all these tasks done, and you can do these tasks in anytime, anywhere. So if I have if I have 3 express trains, boom, I can get that done easily. And that's a better score for you because that's a task that technically should have taken you 10 years, but you got it done in less time. You get better stuff out of it. Perfectly good, I say so. Does it produce a total of 65 loads of corn via factories or businesses? So if you see this task like this, which means that you need to own that business that develops corn. So bear that in mind. So you might say, oh, I have this farm here I'm connected to, and I'm getting all the goods and services from it, but I'm not getting those loads. You need to buy the business outright, so it's technically you that's making the producing, not the company, not the game itself. And again, I think that this is going to be a fantastic game overall. I think with a few more patches, I think this game will run well. There was one thing I was been trying to get this game to run, was that my recording software did not like this game initially. And it's due to the fact of the frame rate issue I was having. Because the game's tutorial actually tells you that the game runs better if you have it completely zoomed out. and it gets slightly worse as you get closer in. I would say recommend you play whatever frame rate you want to be for your PC. There is an optimization issue, I will say. Okay, we go to options here. There is something that's called 3D resolution. This is kind of the weird system I don't like, because it's on high, which you can tell the graphics are pretty nice and intense. If you turn it to normal, you can see that the graphics get blurry really fast. But this is meant to make sure your game is running on the monitor that you have available. So if you have a really wide monitor like me, and you turn this optimization down a bit, your graphics are going to get a little bit blurrier by default, and that it just seems not good to me. And likewise, if you go to the lowest of settings of your 3D resolution to low, look how blurry it gets. Like, it is almost like you can't really tell what you're looking at. It just looks so like this should be like the lowest setting, and normal should still crisp, but maybe, you know, less, you know, draw distance or whatnot, you know. So basically make sure that your graphics, your PC is going to handle the game with ease. So I'll say though, keep the game at its high, and then lower your frame rate down to like maybe 30 to make sure your trains actually run, or the game will run extremely well, in my honest opinion. But what do we think about this? I think that this is a great game so far, and the fact is that you can go through you can play the entirety of the map, and you can play as long as you want, when you want. Like, even after it passes like 1930, you can play as long as you want. You can go beyond 1930. You just get no more research. But I think in the grand scheme of things, oh, looks like a bid is happening for us for code determination. I'm gonna keep outbidding her. I have the money. I will win this. There you go.
Don't think I'll give you an inch.
Oh, you didn't give me an itch, huh?
My time.
Also, I kind of feel like the competitors are not as flamboyant as they were in the past game. In the first game, they were basically more of a cartoon character. Now they act more reserved. It's not the same, but I guess for the tone they were going for is basically the more realistic tone rather than the comedic tone they were going for previously. They can still put out a whip or a sort of a weird, a funny joke here and there, but despite that, though, I think the competitors are kind of, for the most part, just that not as flamboyant as before, which is kind of odd to me. But it's not too bad, in my honest opinion. But it's like, look how, but man, I'll tell you, but what they pulled off here is actually stunning. Like, look at this. Like, even if you're not building railways, but look at this. Like, these look like, you know, hefty mountains to cross over across the Rocky Mountains and whatnot. Like, this looks like, you know, rough terrain. Unlike in number 1, which was more of a, you know, a weird steep hill that didn't look detailed. But look at this detail. Like, this is detail I want to see, you know, to make sure that, oh yeah, this is going to be a mountainous region, you know, when you get low by, and it's like, yeah, you know, like, this is cool. I like the detail this game has. But as you said, as we end this video off today, what do I think of this game? It did have a rough start. The mechanics are kind of different, but in my honest opinion, are actually, I think the additions they've added to this game is really top notch. The customization options are great. The multiplayer could be better. We'll see for sure if the multiplayer gets updated or not with, you know, with competitor mode or something like that. But honestly, I think that the whole concept of simplifying and streamlining the process to build your railways is a fantastic idea. It gets you to build more trains and try out new mechanics and whatnot, new ways to build your railways. I think this is a fantastic game. It's reasonably priced, but I would probably wait for a price drop or a sale before buying it, or just wait until like the patch is hit to fix the area like we saw earlier, the whole white screen we got earlier. I would say waiting for a price drop on that. But despite that, though, this game gives me a high recommendation. And I recommend anyone for buying it, though I would personally buy the Steam version, as that one is probably going to get the most patches overall. It also most likely will have, Steam Workshop stuff probably later on, with probably customization and whatnot. We'll see, but I think the Steam version is probably going to be the best version. PlayStation 5 and Xbox are probably going to get, stunning visuals too. I just think that this game runs better on PC rather than consoles, because the game is tailored to a keyboard and mouse. But play on your preferred console as you want. But as for me, folks, that's going to do it for me tonight, folks. Thank you for watching. And until next time, everyone, you guys have a fantastic night. Take care. And I'll see you around on the railways. But don't let me pass you by up, because my trains are going to be faster than yours, maybe. And you know what? And if you guys watch it on YouTube after the fact, I'll be streaming this on Twitch on the occasion. So if you want to see more of this gameplay, follow me on Twitch. The link for it will be in the description box below. So then, I'll see you guys around for more of this and more gaming shows going in the future. That's all for now. Do-do-do!